The Minnesota Vikings have reason to be hyped right now. As training camp is approaching, I'm seeing a win-win situation developing in sports media, and I can't wait to tell you about it. Sports fans, huddle up. In today's video, we are talking about the excellent recent news that should have you feeling optimistic about your team heading into the season. If you're new here, I'm Nate. We are talking the biggest news in sports every day on this channel, me, Aaron, and Ben. So make sure that you get subbed up and don't miss out on all of the action. The good news is this, Viking fans. Your $10 million salary going to Sam Darnold is going to be money well spent. So many positive notes are coming out lately in favor of Sam Darnold playing well. So although I don't own a pair of purple glasses, I did put my purple backdrop on for you. Get yours on, Minnesotans, because it's going to be pretty exciting heading into training camp. I've got all the details for you, Sam Darnold, even some McCarthy stuff, but I'm really excited for you guys out there in Minnesota. My father-in-law spent a good chunk of time in Minnesota, has a heart for the Vikings and all of the pain that you guys have been through. Comment below, though, first. How many games does Sam Darnold play this season? Total games. And I'm hoping that somebody comments below 18, which would suggest that you're getting into the playoffs. Probably more like wild card and then bouncing. But let me know what you think, Minnesotans. How are you feeling about your team? Or if you're not a Minnesota Vikings fan, let me know. Be honest. What do you think is going to happen? Is this a 7, 8, 9 win season? That would be pretty devastating for the Minnesota fans who just went through one of those kinds of seasons. But let me know what you think. I think that the best case scenario for Minnesota Vikings right now is probably bouncing out in the wild cards, if I'm honest. That's what I think. But I would love for you to prove me wrong. Let me know in the comments why I should feel differently about that. Of course, I'm sure if the name Justin Jefferson isn't in your answer, assuming he's healthy for the entire season, then I don't know where you're going with this. But look, Vikings fans don't know anything about having a great regular season, building up hope, and then crashing in the playoffs. They don't know anything about that, right, guys? You have to believe that this team is better than 7 wins, though, right? You have to believe this team is better than 7 wins. And if they're better than 7 wins, it's probably because Sam Darnold, who's most people are saying is for sure the starter. And it makes perfect sense. I mean, it makes perfect sense. I'm not going to get into the details. This has to be a better than 7 win team. It has to be. Just personnel-wise and what Sam Darnold's coming in, and we're going to talk about Sam Darnold a little bit, but what he's coming in with, it makes sense to me. You have to believe despite Jordan Love making your favorite enemy even stronger at the end of last season, despite Detroit really coming into the playing form of their lives, making old guys happy, and the Chicago Bears, they think they're back. I mean, fans of Chicago Bears, I mean, nobody in Chicago is overreacting around Caleb Williams right now, right, guys? And this new cast and crew around him. Nobody's overreacting about that whatsoever. I think the Minnesota Vikings have to be better than a 7-win team, despite improvement in their now very, very tough division going into this season. I still think the Minnesota Vikings are more than a 7-win team. Let me know what you think about that, though. I look forward to it. Listen, before we get into the Sam Darnold stuff, let me first preface with this. The Vikings are in win-win territory with Sam Darnold and McCarthy. This quarterback situation, the quarterback room, is a win-win situation for the Vikings, in my opinion. And you're fortunate, your guy like your Justin Jefferson dude, you're fortunate he's young, because this season, if it is a little bit of a wash because Sam Darnold is trash, which I don't think is going to be the case, and I'll tell you why in this video, but if he is trash, you're okay. You're going to be fine. JJ is going to be fine. And you're going to come back next year. It's not going to be a missed year. It's not like he's at his absolute prime and tailing off at the end of his career kind of thing. So you're all right in that sense. And listen, all eyes right now are on Caleb Williams in the NFL. Is that what you want for McCarthy right now? Is that really what you would want to put him in? Because I think Caleb Williams is set up to absolutely explode. He's going to throw one pick, and it's going to be nasty for him, for fans. Although I'll be fair and say all of my actual Bears fans that I know, like all my buddies who are actual Bears fans, none of them are as high on Caleb Williams this season as ESPN is making it look like. But listen, all the eyes are on Caleb Williams, and I think it's a win for the Vikings to have a veteran quarterback. I understand, not maybe the number one guy you'd like to have. Maybe you would prefer to have Kirk Cousins if you could. I don't know. You let me know in the comments what you think about that. But listen, I think that this is a good situation for the Vikings from the JJ side, considering that if he does come in middle of the season for whatever reason, if he does come in, it's a win that he came in the middle of the season because nobody holds that season against him. It's a free hit. He plays a handful of games, has some good moments, has some bad moments, and nobody expects him to come in there and take you all the way to the NFC Championships like Brock Purdy did with the San Francisco 49ers, right? Nobody expects it. Which, by the way, would have won against Philadelphia had he not been injured. So JJ can sit back, he can learn, grow, watch wins and losses from the bench, and for some reason, if he gets a shot, great. Good for him. He's going to have a lot of grace. So where to start? Kevin O'Connell was on Kay Adams recently and had some positive things to say. Firstly, about J.J. McCarthy, saying that he's learning and processing super quickly. The amount of info that he's able to retain. He kept saying that phrase, like almost like he prepared ahead of time. This is the thing I'm going to say about JJ, which is good. That's the thing you want to hear. Working really hard, coachable, all positives coming out of that. Talked about during the rookie minicamp, I want to say it was, or mandatory minicamp, now I can't remember, talking about, kind of wagering on the sidelines with defense and stuff. So it's cool. That's good stuff. You want to hear that. About Sam Darnold, he mentioned his physical talent, ability to come into the system with veterans, keep up the pace with veterans of this system, and that's good. You want to see that. That's positive. And then a few weeks ago, he was on The Herd with Colin Cowherd, and he brought up Darnold learning in that Kyle Shanahan offense last season and how beneficial that is. Oh, okay. So when the coach is saying that, that means something, right? Shanahan's little tree, of course, is spreading all over the NFL. You got Miami, Rams, Los Angeles, Green Bay, right? So you got to believe that he benefited sitting under Kyle Shanahan in his time in the Bay Area. And then on top of that, watching this system develop under a young quarterback, Brock Purdy, he's going to learn something from that. And I'm not saying that. Kevin O'Connell's saying that, all right? Like, I'm not like making this connection between, backup quarterback sitting under a rookie quarterback and learning whatever. Like, that's what Kevin O'Connell's saying. So that tells me something about what he thinks he got out of that experience in the Bay Area, which I think is massively helpful to you guys. Massively helpful. It's a complex system. He watched a quarterback come in and, last season, he's Mr. Irrelevant, but he still hasn't proven himself. He did it in a little run, but many quarterbacks have done that. Colin Kaepernick did that. Came in middle of the season and ran all the way to the Super Bowl, right? And then what? Look at him now. So absolutely, I think that this is a good opportunity for him to sit behind Brock Purdy, who's developing his leadership skills, is only his second season as a quarterback, not even as a starting quarterback, and not even a full season yet. Didn't even get an off season because of his injury, and he watched Brock Purdy play an incredible season, and prove most of the doubters wrong. Some of the doubters are still out there on ESPN for some reason, but prove most of the doubters wrong about Brock Purdy. And I think that he learned under that system. Otherwise, I don't think Kevin O'Connell brings it up. That's a really weird thing to say about your potentially starting quarterback, about how you're excited about him and what he did in San Francisco, where, every once in a while he's taking a snap to end the game and taking a kneel, right? Like, it's a weird thing. And then he got a bunch of snaps in that Rams game, I think it was. At the end of the season, didn't matter. Kay Adams suggested this idea that Sam Darnold could have a Baker Mayfield kind of resurgence, right? Remember, Baker Mayfield comes out of college, Oklahoma Sooner, thinking really highly of this guy when he goes to Cleveland, and it does not work well for him. And like Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold has not had the kind of beginning of season he would have wanted. And he came out of USC 3rd overall. I mean, the guy had all of the hype around him that you're seeing around JJ and Caleb Williams, all these guys, right? Granted, his draft class, I mean, Josh Allen, I mean, he had there were some beasts in that draft class. But all that being said, Kay Adams brings up the idea, and says it to Kevin O'Connell, can he have this Baker Mayfield resurgence? What is it going to look like? Which I think is very interesting, a very interesting idea. Here's what Jeremy Fowler thinks. Let's throw there. Jimmy Fowler, of course, this is a little bit ago now, 4 days ago maybe, will get their money's worth, $10 million per year annual, of Darnold. So they keep developing J.J. McCarthy behind the scenes, incrementally give him more and more in a high-volume pass attack. J.J. will be the long-term starter. But Sam Darnold getting worth $10 million per year. That's a good situation for you guys financially, of course. And then Kurt Benkert, of course, if Sam Darnold starts every game for the Vikings, he will throw more yards than Caleb Williams this season. I love the confidence, too. Save this tweet. Obviously, yards are not everything. You can throw a lot of yards. Sam Darnold's best season was 3,000 yards-ish, a little over 3,000. Threw like 15 picks. You got to weigh these things, obviously. But I like the take, though, because I think Caleb Williams is in an interesting situation. So I think you guys will have a very interesting view from your NFC North perspective, watching what's happening over in Chicago. This is going to be such a fun season, guys. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on all the conversation, because as we get to your division and your team, it's so much fun to talk and to hear from you guys and hear your perspectives. And it's also interesting to talk about many of the other teams in the league, because NFL training camp is around the corner.